Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you're live.
Thank you, everyone. I'd like to open the meeting of the Redevelopment Commission. Lynn, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Lack?
Here.
Mr. Zilli?
Here.
Mr. Ekdahl?
Here.
Mr. Munt?
Here.
Mayor Lynch?
Here.
Dr. Finley? Here.
We have the approval of the minutes from October 22nd.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, Lynn, please call the roll.
Mr. Lack?
Yes.
Mr. Zilli?
Yes.
Mr. Ekdahl?
Yes.
Mr. Munt?
Yes.
Mayor Lynch?
Yes. We have the payment of claims. Did everybody get a chance to review them?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, Lynn, please call the roll.
Mr. Lack?
Yes.
Mr. Zilli?
Yes.
Mr. Ekdahl?
Yes.
Mr. Munt?
Yes.
Mayor Lynch?
Yes.
And I need to know who made the motions, please.
I made the Greg Lack made the motion.
And this is
Thank
Tom,
you.
and I seconded.
Thank you.
We have staff reports. AJ, are you on there? Would you like to do a staff report?
I am. Good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, again, thank you. A couple things that were sent out. The first has to do with the City Hall remodel project. I believe that you all are in receipt of the preferred floor plan and the contractor's estimate that was prepared by Hassey Construction. I would ask you to spend some time reviewing both of those documents, and it would be my hope that you'll have some time to review, have an opportunity to develop some questions, or you may possibly want to seek some additional clarification as to what's been presented to you. In terms of today's meeting, this is presented as information, and would like to ask the commission again to review what information's been provided, and possibly move on action and next steps at subsequent redevelopment commission meetings.
Did everybody receive that information? Okay.
The second thing that I would like to talk about at this level is the Garrison Center project. We had a Garrison leadership meeting on November 2nd to review the written report, its findings, its recommendations. That group of leaders in our community has offered to you, the commission, to help move that report along and the recommendations contained within. One of the recommendations that was presented in that report has to do with an establishment of a board of directors who could kind of really focus on the Garrison Center project, organize, consider the report, and to develop what could be next steps out at Garrison. They asked me to come to the commission today to express their willingness to help move the report along and the report's recommendations. I don't know if there's any formal action. I just want to put it out there that the leadership team did offer to help the commission in moving that project forward. The other thing I have is an update. At last month's meeting, spent a couple minutes toward the end talking about some of the grants and the pursuits that staff had been working on. I'm happy to report that we got good news from the administrator of the Lake Michigan Coastal Program and their board of their advisory board. Both applications were received favorably, and really good news is that they asked us to consider taking an expedited schedule to move both of those projects forward. So within the next 60 to 90 days, we'll be working with the program's director, Jenny Orsburn, our former superintendent of parks here in town, and myself and Tina Rogers, who's assisting with the grant writing, to move those both of those projects along. And as a reminder to the members of the commission, the first project had to do with interpretive history and cultural significance of Garrison School, and the second to do with a land acquisition and a disposition strategy for the city of Portage, properties owned by the Redevelopment Commission or other departments within. So all very good news. And I will have more information on both of these grants within the next 60 to 90 days. Later on in the agenda, what I would, you'll notice that Carl Sender's on the phone or at the meeting with us this afternoon. Is I would like to bring up is other business before the board, a report that Carl Sender and Company has prepared regarding our commission and the annual overlapping units report. So I've asked Carl to provide a brief presentation later on in this evening's agenda. So I just wanted to acknowledge that for later on. With that, that would conclude my my report, and I ask if there are any questions.
So AJ, if I could ask, so the notion of leadership group for Garrison and the thought that we're going to create an independent board, I would assume will have bylaws and agreements. Is that something that you're asking me to, or that this commission's asking me to start working on? Or are we still considering that, or where are we at with that thought?
Dan, the leadership group, the early next steps that the report recommends is an establishment of a board of directors. I think the next step, Dan, in that process would be the leadership team working to develop a list of folks here in town to serve in that capacity as board of directors. And then I would imagine that sort of recommendation would be delivered here to the commission. And that here in the near term, those services that you mentioned, Dan, would be needed in the months to come.
It sounds good. I just want to make sure that it wasn't something that it would be waiting on me for at this point. So it sounds like we're not quite there where you need me to get tapped into the game. So when you do, or when they do, if you need me to come to something, let me know, and I'm happy to engage.
Thank you.
Yep.
AJ, would that be something ultimately that we decide as a commission who those representatives would be to that group?
I think that's a good question. I don't have the answer to that. What I believe the leadership group is offering is assistance to the commission in identifying who that board of directors could be, and that in the months to come, as the relationship and work between the commission and this leadership team, this board of directors advances, those sort of details would become clearer.
Okay, thank you.
Dan, do we know how other entities have done this? I know other entities have set up nonprofits to manage their buildings like this. I would think maybe is the Opera House one of those examples? Do you know how they've set this up in the past?
So there have been varying ways. So the Opera House is not like this one. The Opera House just has an advisory board for fundraising, but maybe like the jail museum. So yes, I have a couple of thoughts. There's several ways we can go about this. And to Mr. Munn's point, yes, this commission will have some deep discussions and some decision-making into how that new board will be cloaked, and authority. So yes, we'll be in the game. But I think what maybe AJ is pointing to is that maybe it's best for this leadership group to sort of do a lot of the legwork at the front end to see how they think it might work, and then it will come to you guys, and we can decide if we want to sort of follow along with that or come up with some other suggestions, and then it ultimately we own it, so we will have the authority to authorize that group as we see fit, or as you see fit. Still used to be an official, as you guys see fit.
Are there any other questions for AJ? Thank you, AJ. We will move on to the resolution pertaining to the sale of 5865 US Highway 12 properties. Dan, do you want to?
Just real brief, Madam Mayor. So you guys already approved this, but then I got to thinking, I've been at closings before where the title companies asked for a resolution from the board. So I thought, rather than scramble at the last minute, let's just do it just in case, and I'll ship it over to the title companies. This is the exact thing that you authorized before, and I would ask that this board simply pass this resolution by title only, and that way I can just get it to them just in case.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve. This is Colin Lynn.
I'll second.
That was Ralph. Lynn?
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Any questions? If not, Lynn, please call the roll.
Mr. Locke,
No.
Mr. Zilli,
Yes.
Mr. Ekdahl,
Yes.
Mr. Munt,
Yes.
Mayor Lynch.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
So Lynn, as soon as that gets signed, if you could maybe email me a copy of it, because I'll just forward it along then.
Will do.
Thanks so much.
Okay, under new business, we have permission to seek quotes for,
Excuse me just a minute. It'll have to be signed first, Sue, so you'll need to stop in.
okay. Under new
Sorry.
business, we have 8.1, permission to seek quotes for a 60-ton compressor at the police station.
Yes, Madam Chairman, we would just, the Department of Planning and Community Development would be seeking the board's permission to seek quotes for the compressor there at the Portage Police Station.
So
To be
AJ, I see we have also a 50-ton. Are those two separate compressors, or are those, one is a 60-ton, or we can opt to get a 50-ton?
They're two separate compressors.
Okay. So we will take 8.1 first. I need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to seek bids. This is Colin.
This is Ralph. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to seek permission to get quotes for a 60-ton compressor for the police station. Is there any discussion? If not, Lynn, please call, pardon?
This is Greg. I have a question. On the claims, we had a new compressor from Circle R. Is that the same project or is that different?
It is, yes, good question, Greg. There's a series of compressors that work in unison at the police station. The compressor that was replaced is one in the sequence. These are subsequent compressors in that same sequence. So it is not the same compressor.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
My God. Don't you?
I think we're frozen up.
Yeah, I think you froze there for a second, Mayor.
Yeah. Lynn, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Can you please call the roll?
Yes, I will. Mr. Locke,
Yes.
Mr. Zilli,
Yes.
Mr. Ekdahl,
Yes.
Mr. Munt,
Yes.
Mayor Lynch.
Yes. Next, 8.2, permission to seek quotes for a 50-ton compressor for the police station. AJ, do you know where these are located? Are they up on the rooftop or?
Yes, they are.
Okay,
This is Greg. I'll make a motion to approve.
This is Ralph. I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, Lynn, please call the roll.
Mr. Locke,
Yes.
Mr. Zilli,
Yes.
Mr. Ekdahl,
Yes.
Mr. Munt,
Yes.
Mayor Lynch.
Yes. 8.4, quote opening for the demolition, 8.3, I'm sorry, for the demolition of 2508 Hamstrom Road.
Yes,
Yeah.
Chairman, members of the commission, I am in receipt of 5 quotes. With me, with me in the same room, opening the quotes is Sonia Lindgren. We are at Woodland Park because our notice indicated that we would receive bids until 3:30 at City Hall and would receive bids here at Woodland Park until 4 p.m. So that's why we are here at Woodland Park, both Sonia and myself, so that we could receive any quotes that were delivered between 3:30 and 4. As I previously indicated, we've received 5 quotes for demolition of the property at 2508 Hamstrom Road. The first is from GE Marshall Inc., 1351 Joliet Road, P.O. Box 242, Valparaiso, Indiana, 46385. The quote is in the amount of $21,900. Again, 21900. The second quote for demolition of the property at 2508 Hamstrom Road is from Delta 3 Inc., 2063 West 1250 South, Hanna, Indiana, 46304. Delta's quote is in the amount of $37,500. Again, that's 37500. The third quote is from RV Sutton Incorporated, 175 West, 1050 North, Chesterton, Indiana, 46304. The quote is in the amount of $19,920, 19920. The next quote is from Austin Equipment Incorporated, 11309 Broadway, Suite C3, Crown Point, Indiana, 46307. The quote is in the amount of $24,844. Again, 24844. The last quote is received from C. Lee Construction Services, Inc., C. Lee Construction Services, Inc. is located at 1011 Lake Street, Gary, Indiana, 46403. Their quote is in the amount of $12,730. That's 12730. That concludes opening of quotes for the demolition of the property at 2508 Hamstrom Road. It would be staff's recommendation to take these quotes under advisement, allow staff and Attorney Whitten to review them, and to be able to make a recommendation to the commission at the next meeting.
So moved.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to take the bids for the Hamstrom Road demolition under advisement. Is there any further discussion? If not, Lynn, please call the roll.
Mr. Locke,
Yes.
Mr. Zilli,
Yes.
Mr. Ekdahl,
Yes.
Mr. Munt, Mr.
Ralph,
Munt,
Ralph, you need to unmute.
I think you may be frozen.
Mhm. Ralph, can you hear us? Lynn, you can go ahead and continue with the roll, and then if we can come back to Ralph for his vote.
Mayor Lynch.
Yes. So AJ, if you want to continue to read those, and then when Ralph can come on.
Okay, so the next item of business is quote opening for the demolition of the property at 1779 LaPorte Street. We have received 5 quotes for demolition services. The first from GE Marshall Incorporated, 1351 Joliet Road, P.O. Box 242, Valparaiso, Indiana 46385. The quote is in the amount of $23,400. That's 23400. The second quote is from Delta 3 Inc., 2063 West, 1250 South, Hannah, Indiana 46340. Their quote is in the amount of $44,500, 44500. The next quote is from RV Sutton Inc., 175 West, 1050 North, Chesterton, Indiana, 46304. Their quote is in the amount of $24,625, 24625. The next quote is from Austin Equipment Inc., 11309 Broadway, Suite C3, Crown Point, Indiana, 46307. Their quote is in the amount of $36,400, $197. 36197. The last quote is from C. Lee Construction Services, Inc. C. Lee Construction Services, Inc. is located at 1011 South Lake Street, Gary, Indiana, 46403. Their quote amount is $17,440. That's 17440. That was the last quote for the demolition of the property on LaPorte Street. It would be staff's recommendation to take these quotes under advisement, to allow staff and legal counsel the opportunity to review the quotes and make a recommendation to you at the next or subsequent meeting.
I'll make a motion to take these under advisement. Lynn, this is Colin.
This is Greg. I'll make a second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, Lynn, please call the roll.
Mr. Locke,
Yes.
Mr. Zilli,
Yes.
Mr. Ekdahl,
Yes.
Mr. Munt,
It looks like he was just connecting it back into the meeting.
I'm trying.
There you are, Ralph. We can hear you.
Okay, sorry.
Welcome back, Mr. Munt.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. What did I miss?
You missed the, well, we're voting right now on the 1779 LaPorte Street demo, taking the
Okay.
bids under advisement. Our vote is to take the bids under advisement. So we're waiting for your vote.
Vote is yes.
Okay,
Mayor Lynch,
yes. So let's back up, Ralph, while you're still here with us. We did the same thing with the demolition of 2508 Hamstrom Road, taking the bids under advisement. How is your vote?
Yes.
That concludes the vote. Lynn, are you okay with all that?
I am, thank you.
Okay. 8.5, review and approval of maintenance contract for police station HVAC system.
Mayor, if I could, I'd like to turn this one over to Sandy Kolb. She's been working closely with Terry Ellis to put together this quote for the commission's consideration. So, Sandy?
Hi. As you all are probably aware, Terry Ellis is with our General Services Department. He is responsible for maintaining city-owned buildings, but he's also been helping us out with redevelopment commission-owned buildings. And from what I understand, ever since the police department moved into the building at 6260 Central Avenue, they've had a lot of HVAC issues, a lot of issues keeping temperatures regulated, and Terry has had to go in and override the system controls. Come to find out, the system was installed. It's a pretty high-tech system that I'm not really familiar with, but from what I'm getting from Terry is that it has a system that controls the HVAC. And when it was installed, it was originally installed in 2011. It did receive an update to the software that runs the system in 2015, but hasn't been updated since. So as you can imagine, something that's high tech, 5 years without any maintenance, our software is out of date. And so Precision Control Systems has provided us with a quote to bring the software up to date so that the system can run on its own and regulate everything on its own without Terry having to come in, every couple of hours and override the system. Precision Control has provided us with the quote for not only updating the software, but providing a laptop to run the new software with an updated version of Windows. Because right now they can't upload the new software to the existing laptop that's running the system. So in 5 years, a lot of things have gone downhill and have become out of date. And this is something to bring the system back up to date and for it to function the way that it should.
Do we have a motion to approve the Precision Controls update of the software, which includes a laptop?
This is Greg. I'll make the motion.
This is Colin. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for the upgrade for the police station control system. Is there any discussion?
This is Greg. What is our policy as far as what goes out to bid and what doesn't go out to bid? Just as a commission overall, because we just went through a couple of bid openings, and this one's not a bid contract. Is it a professional services deal, or how do we do that?
This is professional services. This is a specialty system that it can only be maintained from Precision Control in the local area.
Greg, are you inquiring as to what is the limit on doing something like this without having to go out to bid? Because it didn't. Is this a specific thing that only Precision Controls does? Is it because it's under a certain amount of money that we aren't bidding it out? Or Sandy, could you explain that?
It's a professional service that you can't just have any control systems person come in and maintain it. They're the ones who installed the system. They're the ones that know how it operates and how to update it. These were all decisions that were made when the building was built as to what to put into the building. Now we're just trying to maintain what's out there and what's existing.
So Sandy, in other words, that's an ongoing contract with them, and they're the only ones that can perform those services for us.
I can't say that it's an ongoing contract because obviously nothing's been done in 5 years, but it is the same company that we have used to maintain the system since it was installed. We haven't had them out for 5 years. We haven't had a contract because it has been just running on its own as poorly as it has for 5 years. Our office decided this is something that needs to be addressed. It's RDC owned property. It needs to be maintained. It needs to be functioning the way that it was intended to. And this is just part of running the building.
Should we be able to have a contract in place?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Greg. Should we have some kind of maintenance contract with them for the future?
They have a statement in here that it includes a 3-year software agreement that will provide any manufacturer software upgrades they might have for the next 3 years. Unless we run into an issue where the software fails, the system should run on its own. And I think that the 3 years is basically our maintenance on the system itself.
And Sandy, do we know just ballpark what this, with the system running correctly, what it will save us money-wise if the system starts running as it was designed to run?
That I do not know the money that's being spent, but I know that it's taking a lot of time from a person who's supposed to be running all of the city-owned buildings to go over there and constantly override the system so that the clerks and aren't too hot while the detectives are too cold. He's manually manipulating the system, which it wasn't built to do.
Thanks, Sandy.
I guess, Sandy, my question is if that is a piece of equipment that we have in that building, I don't understand why we even really need to go out and bid it. It's part of maintaining the building. Is there a ceiling of what you can just do as building operations, or do we have to bid them out all the time?
Well, this wasn't bid out. This was a request for a proposal. The reason why it's in front of the board is because we don't have permission to spend RDC money. So we're letting you know that.
Hold on. Let me jump in here. So I think we're confusing, without answering the question directly here, I think we're confusing the question a little bit. So I think maybe if we're asking, do we have to bid out certain things and there's a threshold, those really have to do with capital projects. And the statute breaks those out in 150,000 plus, you have to do certain things, 100 to 150,000 certain things, 50 to 100 certain things, under 50, other things under 25,000. It's very simple. So, but this is a service contract, it seems like. So service contracts do not fall under that capital projects bid statute. So they do, but it's a contract, so this board has to approve it. So it's not so much the dollar amount. I think it's the notion of what kind of contract is it? It's a service contract.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract. This is Colin Lynn.
I'm sorry, we already have a motion.
Yeah, we have a
and
motion and a second. We just need to call the roll. Lynn, would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Locke?
Yes.
Mr. Zilli?
Yes.
Mr. Ekdahl?
Yes.
Mr. Munt?
Yes.
Mayor Lynch?
Yes. We have the approval of pre-demolition asbestos survey for these 1794 Schiller Street properties.
Yes, Madam Chairman. As Sandy and I were working to put together demolition specifications for the properties that we received approval last month, we discovered that the city of Portage had yet to complete a pre-demolition asbestos survey for the property at 1794 Schiller. And we are now seeking approval of that contract with Americo so that we can move forward with that. Once we have a pre-demolition asbestos survey in hand, we will include that in the demo specifications and put it out to bid.
Okay.
Again, it's a professional service and we're seeking approval on the contract.
Okay, we'll need a motion to approve the pre-demolition asbestos survey for the Schiller Street property.
I'll make a motion to approve. This is Colin.
Second. This is Alan.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, Lynn, please call the roll.
Mr. Locke?
Yes.
Mr. Zilli?
Yes.
Mr. Ekdahl?
Yes.
Mr. Munt?
Yes.
Mayor Lynch?
Yes. We have the approval of the snow plowing contract for 6100 Southport Road.
Yes, Madam Chairman. Sandy and I have been working closely with Holiday Properties to prepare this snow plowing contract for the property at 6100 Southport Road. As you know, that's the office building that houses NERPC, the Northwest Indiana Forum, and Purdue Northwest. We've reviewed this. We believe that it's a contract that's easily understood and would make a recommendation to approve the contract. And again, we do have Sandy on the phone if you have any additional questions regarding the contract.
I'll make a motion to approve. This is Colin.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Do they utilize union labor to do this?
I don't have an answer to that. I believe they utilize their staff at Holiday Properties. I do not know whether or not they are operating as a union shop.
Just quickly, AJ, I know we've had Holiday doing this in the past. Is there a reason why the city doesn't do this lot itself?
I don't know if I can speak entirely to the past as it relates to that, Colin. It's a good question. I know that a number of years ago, it was a service that was provided by staff here at Portage Parks. You know, the Portage Parks took a lead in managing the property, the grounds, and provided snow plowing services. At some point in the last several years, it was the city deemed that this would be better handled by a property management company, and they would take the lead in the goings on of the property at 6100. The property management contract, Colin, that we have in place dates back to 2012. So I can at least track back to 2012 as to when the city decided to head in this direction on that property. Again, if it's the pleasure of the commission and you'd like us to pursue, you know, a possible different property management scenario, we could definitely do that on behalf of the commission. Right now, though, we're just following through with what's been sort of the practice the last 8 years.
Sure. Thanks, AJ. Yeah, I think because I know the city plows the streets going into there in where Southport Road is. So I don't fully understand why Holiday is providing, why we have Holiday doing this for plowing. So I'd appreciate if we look into this after the end of this contract. I know it's late. We need to get this done in place. So.
I guess my question, AJ, is do we just automatically get Holiday, or do we ever have an opportunity for any other businesses in the city to bid on this? How does this work?
The property management agreement that we have with Holiday directs them to provide general management services on the property. They in some cases will go solicit quotes based on what I've been able to track has happened out on property the last few years. In other cases, they've acted immediately without commission approval, and Lynn or someone here in the city paid the claim. In other cases, Holiday has submitted a proposal, a task with fee, and the city has acted on it. So I would say to you that Holiday's direction from the city has come in various forms in the last 8 years. And I think that it's worth, and I know that, well, Sandy, myself, Joe Eberts, and Terry Ellis were on property yesterday, and we are in a process to set up a meeting with Holiday the week of November 30th to talk about the agreement. Again, for where I stand, and Sandy and Joe and Terry, we're using a property management contract or agreement that dates back to 2012. We, in our preliminary review, determined that we needed to kind of dive into this. As I mentioned, we're going to have this meeting with Holiday Properties here the week of November 30th. So I would say to you, to answer your question, that actions in the delivery of services, their approvals have taken any number of form.
I would also like Dan to be have eyes on that contract, but also I guess I just think that there's a lot of people in our city who are out of work right now. So if they're subbing it out, I would like them to give people in our city an opportunity.
Well, if that's the case, then I would recommend I would ask Ralph to withdraw his second, Colin to withdraw his motion, and we will pursue down a different road. Just know that I don't know if the snow does fly in the next 30 days, what we'll do. But I think we can handle it in the next 30 days. We definitely have enough folks here in the city who can assist. If it is the pleasure of the commission for staff to go down a different road, we'll do that and report back to you next month.
What are the wishes? What
Yeah,
are the
AJ,
wishes of the commission? Sorry, Dan.
That's okay, Mayor. So AJ, if you could, maybe in the next day or so, could you ship me a copy of that agreement? It predates me, so I may have seen it before, but I don't remember seeing it.
Will do.
Thanks, man. Then maybe you and I can chat about it, and then I can advise the commission a little better on it next time.
So Dan, do we need a motion to table this to the December meeting?
Why don't you, Mayor? Why don't we table it? That way we keep it rolling, and that'll keep it on our radar.
I'll make a motion to table this until our December meeting. This is Colin, by the way, Lynn.
Thank you. I'll second. This is Alan.
We have a motion by Colin, seconded by Alan. Lynn, please call the roll.
Excuse me, what about the motion that's on the floor?
They withdrew that?
They did withdraw it? Okay, I'm sorry, did not hear that.
Yeah, I think a motion to table overrides a motion to adopt.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, motion to table, it overrides. You have to address the table first.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Locke?
Yes.
Mr. Zilli?
Yes.
Mr. Ekdahl?
Yes.
Mr. Munt?
Yes.
Mayor Lynch?
Yes. In item 9, any other business to come before the commission? AJ, is this where you would like Carl Sender to present his report?
I would, Madam Chairman. Members of the commission, as you know, Carl Sender's provided financial services to the city of Portage for a number of years. And earlier this year, we retained Carl's services, Carl and Sender and Company services to provide financial services. Carl Sender is with us this evening to present his annual overlapping units report. So with that said, if I could like to turn it over to Carl Sender with Sender and Company.
Hey, thank you, AJ, and Madam Chair and members of the commission. I'll try and keep this a brief report, but page 2 shows kind of the purpose of the report. I think you have a PDF document of it. The statute requires that annually the commission at one of your meetings present information that affects all the affected overlapping taxing units within our allocation area. That would include the county, the township, the city, the school, the airport, and the library. And there's really 3 things that we're supposed to really communicate or be available to communicate with everyone. And that's our budget with respect to the tax increment is number 1. Number 2, what are the long-term plans for your allocation areas? And then number 3, what is the impact on the taxing units? And this last one is kind of a difficult one because a lot of us feel that if it wasn't for the redevelopment commission and your economic development efforts, redevelopment efforts, a lot of the growth that has occurred in the allocation area would not be there if it wasn't for this tool of having TIF and the allocation area. But needless to say, we have prepared those exhibits. The first part of the report, I'm not going to go through each and every page, just highlight a couple things, but page 3 of your PDF shows what the tax increment that we received in 2019 and then also for the first half of this year. So the increment from the Southport Economic Development Area, which is our allocation area, was $7,024,824. And for the first half of this year, we have received $3,748,015. It's just about $100,000 less than a year ago. Part of that could be just the delay in taxpayers making their tax payments due to the governor's emergency order earlier this year. We anticipate our second distribution occurring in December once the Porter County auditor makes those distributions. The next 3 or 4 pages list just shows the different debt that bonds that are outstanding that the commission has authorized and approved for various projects over the years. This probably helps explain that a good chunk of your budget is used to pay back the various bond issues. So I'm not planning to go into those in depth at this point unless you have any questions. Starting on like page 9 and 10 of the report, I brought in your working budget for 2010. And this is something that I think AJ's presented to the commission before. And I think this is the most recent version of it. So the revenue projection for this year is $7,024,824. And then you also have some reimbursements of $470,000, probably some grant reimbursements. And then there's some projections for interest income of $72,000, along with the beginning balance has a total funds on hand of $10,899,000. Your various expenses, again, by and large, is for debt service. You'll see $5,130,316. And then you have various other items in your budget and projects. Continuing on the next page, page 10. So you have total planned expenditures this year of $6,124,137 with some projected ending cash balance this year. Part of it is needed to keep for your January payments of $3,635,000, approximately $3,635,000. So you'd project to have after those payments about $1,140,000 on hand. So that's your budget for proceeds out of the revenue out of the allocation area. The next several pages is the tax impact report. Pages 11 and 12, you have really 2 taxing districts. You're in Portage Corporation Unit 16, as well as a part of the cities in Westchester Township. It's a very small portion in Westchester. This first page 11 just shows, had the allocation area not been here, what does that do to the tax rate? So for this year, we have captured about $287 million of assessed value that we're collecting tax increment on. And it shows if we had not had this in place, that the tax rate could potentially go down by approximately 34 cents, 34.5 cents. The next page for Westchester Township, very negligible. And then the last 2 pages are the impact to the various taxing units that have the cumulative capital project funds. So the county has a cumulative capital development. The airport has cumulative building fund. The city has a cumulative capital development. The schools no longer have a capital projects fund. It is now part of their operations fund, and that levy is now a max levy, meaning that the rate is no longer fixed. So the thought is on these cumulative capital funds that the rate is a fixed rate, so that the more AV is assessed value, the more taxes that potentially units are not receiving. And so this is just projecting again, what would be the additional revenues that the county, the airport, and the city would forego if we did not have the tax increment and the allocation area in place. So you'll see the city is by far the largest of approximately $91,000. The county's cumulative fund is $60,000. But again, these are all subject to, again, if the allocation area wasn't here and the efforts of the redevelopment, you probably wouldn't have all this growth. So a lot of times we say for the but-for test, this really is not a true comparison, but again, we wanted to just be forthright in case anyone had any questions about what is the tax rate had this not been in place. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you have any members of taxing units that are online, I don't know if you're accepting any comments or written comments, but I think having this report satisfies the requirements of the law that we do this at least annually.
Thank you, Carl. That was very helpful.
All right, thanks.
I didn't receive a copy of the report. Can you email that out, please?
Yeah, I'm not sure I received a copy either.
I know I didn't.
I'll be happy to. AJ, should I just forward it to you and you can get it to the rest of the commission members?
Yeah, please, Carl. Thank you.
And I believe that came through in my packet, so I don't understand what happened to the not coming through their packet. Is Lynn on here?
Yeah, I'm looking. I thought it went to everybody.
It wasn't in my packet, Lynn, but I got it from AJ.
I printed mine out from the packet, so I know I got mine.
Yes, we'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of that, so that you can review the report that Carl's discussed this evening.
Does anybody else have any question for Carl? Dan, are we required to approve this report?
I would suggest that you do, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the report.
This is Ralph. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the report. Lynn, would you like to call the roll?
Mr. Locke?
Yes.
Mr. Zilli?
Yes.
Mr. Ekdahl?
Yes.
Mr. Munt?
Yes.
Mayor Lynch?
Yes. Is there any other business to come before the commission? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
This is Greg, second.
We have a motion and a second. Lynn, please call the roll.
Mr. Locke?
Yes.
Mr. Zilli?
Yes.
Mr. Ekdahl?
Yes.
Mr. Munt?
Yes.
Mayor Lynch?
Yes. Our next scheduled meeting is December the 17th at 4 o'clock. We will be announcing whether it will be virtual. I think that the governor is probably going to extend the virtual from December 1st to the end of December. So I'm pretty sure that we will probably be doing a virtual meeting, but you will be informed. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
If I might say, everybody have a nice and safe Thanksgiving, guys.
Yes, make sure that it's safe, everyone. Stay your distance and wear your mask. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.